Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Tuesday's edition of the dceu Daily, where today we're going to be making some Cinemacon predictions. Now, how I think this is happening is 80s rewind at times 90s. Morning, my friend. Good morning. So how I think this is playing out, I think in America, Warner Brothers Cinemacon panel is today, Tuesday. How us in Europe will first hear of what happens is when we wake up on Wednesday morning. Now, you could, of course, stay up to the ridiculously early hours of the morning to find out what's going on. I may do that. It depends how tired I am. So, Ronnie Dodge, morning mix. Cinemacon is today, but early tomorrow morning. Yeah, basically, as I've just explained, Cinemacon is today in America, but when we in Europe wake up on Wednesday morning, we will have all the information. We will know everything that was said at Warner Brothers, the Warner Brothers panel at Cinemacon on Wednesday morning. That's how it works if you live in Europe. Right, we already know they're going to show clips, extended footage of the League of Super Pets, of Black Adam, of Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, and the ill-fated Flash movie. So you should get sequences of all that. I don't expect us to see any of this on the internet. I'm sure there will be leaks. I mean, Jesus, there's leaks on a Superman movie. There's leaks. They've leaked the entire Flash movie already. So we're going to see leaked footage anyway. I'm not sure if I want to see the leaked footage. Seeing I'm a DC YouTuber, an entertainment YouTuber, I'm going to need to know what they showed. So we'll be talking about it tomorrow morning here on the dceu Daily. So let's make some predictions. So could there be any information about a Man of Steel 2? Now, Henry Cavill has made his position very clear that he's always believed there should be a Man of Steel sequel before we see Superman be kind of duped by Darkseid with the anti-life equation, and we go into evil Superman and this whole dark stuff. Henry believes that there should be a Man of Steel sequel first. Now, this would tell me that Henry Cavill has no interest in being in a Justice League 2 or a Justice League 3 until he gets his Man of Steel sequel. 80s rewind at times 90s. Ezra Miller is going to be on stage with other members of the Justice League. John Campea said live on his channel he attended last night. Well, that's amazing, isn't it? That is amazing. And it just shows you how tone deaf this industry is. And it just proves they have no intention of removing Ezra Miller. So thank you for that, 80s Rewinds, the times 90. Apparently, this is breaking news. Ezra Miller is at Cinemacon, and he will be part of the Flash movies panel. It will be part of the WB panel at Cinemacon. Now, the question is, and maybe 80s Rewind at times 90s, who seems to know more than I do during my job, can you answer me this? Will Andy Muschietti be at that panel? Because if he's not, I would suspect he's being replaced. Maybe 80s Rewind in the times 90s can help us with that. People are going to boo him. I don't think he'll be booed at the panel. Well, listen, they're not allowed to boo. They will be thrown out anyway. It wouldn't happen. These are positive fanboys and girls and how they identify as 80s Rewind at times 90s. So he's not going to be booed at the panel. It would say he's not being removed because they have him there. I mean, I think this is an embarrassing, ridiculous situation, but they've already made the movie. So it's very difficult to do anything about the situation. So, as I say, we already know that there's going to be 5 movies, showing some footage. League of Super Pets, Black Adam, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, and the Flash movie. 80s Rewind at times 90s. I'm not brother. I do have 2 friends attending. It's very embarrassing, Mick. It's an embarrassing situation because we know what he's been doing, how he's been behaving, and Toby Emmerich thinks it's totally acceptable to have him there as part of the Flash panel. But the truth is, what choice do Warner Brothers have? You know, we can criticize Warner Brothers a lot, but the problem is, you know, when you've made the film and he's your lead, it's not easy to disperse of his services. You need him. He's got to be part of the promotion, whether we like it or not. So he's there. He's going to promote the movie. But we know that these movies, in terms of box office, will probably hit the lower end of the spectrum. Now, Black Adam, a film I'm very, very much looking forward to, a film that has no controversy at this moment in time, which will have the JSA and, you know, Dr. Fate and Hawkman and maybe Hawkgirl as well. Very, very exciting. It should be a really good movie. So that's a movie we can celebrate. I think if any movie has got a chance of doing quite well at the box office, it's Black Adam. And I think Shazam! Fury of the Gods also has a chance of a solid box office, even though it will be released at the same time, the same date as Avatar 2, which also will either have a trailer and footage at this convention, interestingly so. So I think those movies have got a chance of doing okay. I don't expect either of these movies to break any records. If they do, it'll be great. It's also very exciting to have some footage of Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. And the Flash movie, which I suspect is a good movie, apart from replacing replacing Superman with Supergirl. Apparently the movie's pretty good, and people who saw the test screening really liked it. I do believe that there's a big chance that the Flash movie will be the final ever DCEU movie. So what are their plans? We've already seen a leaked plot for Ta-Nehisi Coates and J.J. Abrams' Superman movie, a Golden Age Superman movie that launches off of Action Comics #1, something I'm very excited about. 80s Rewind at times 90s. I wish you lived closer, my friend. I'd love to see Black Adam with you. Two guys who love DC movies. It would be great. It would be awesome. Unfortunately, I live in Cyprus. I'm probably quite far away from most nerds and very far away from anyone who consumes the channel. Although, considering probably some people who consume the channel hate me, it's probably good that I don't live too close with them. You know what I mean? Stalkers! Anyway, so basically, there's 5 interesting projects here. It's not the Flash movie's fault that Ezra Miller has misbehaved, and I hope that the film's not punished because of his behavior. We'll have to wait and see if audiences come and support that movie, whether or not they're going to allow Superman to be replaced by Supergirl. But, as I said, I believe the Flash movie will be the final ever DCEU movie, and I think the future is the Batman sequel. Now, there's a good chance the Batman sequel will be announced by Toby Emmerich at the Warner Brothers panel at Cinemacon. I expect that to happen for sure. I expect Batgirl to get her, at long last, to get her official release date. I'm hearing that release date is December or November or October of 2023. I think I think the chances are very, very low of it being released this year. But who knows? This is Warner Brothers after all. So I expect Batgirl to have an official release date. I expect the Batman 2 to be officially greenlit and announced at Warner Brothers Cinemacon panel. But let's go back to Man of Steel 2, because I think this is very, very interesting. Is there a chance of an announcement for a Man of Steel 2? Wow. You know, I suppose if the realist in me would say no, absolutely no chance. It depends how much David Zaslav has been involved with what's going on. I would expect 2 or 3 shock announcements at this panel. This normally is a panel where they tell you the next 2 years' plans. If we look at the Sony panel, the Sony Marvel panel, it's very interesting. They announced a shock project. Ghostbusters Afterlife 2, the sequel to that, is in the works. They said that Venom 3 is in development. So lots of things were announced that people didn't expect to be announced. And I expect this for the Warner Brothers panel, the DC part of it, anyway. So we could have Tanahashi Coates' Superman greenlit. It would be shocking to have a Man of Steel 2 and a Tanahashi Coates J.J. Abrams Superman film greenlit, but they could be one in the same, considering that the Tanahashi Coates movie apparently leaves space for Henry Cavill's Superman. So that's interesting. So we could have something announced there. Could we have any Batgirl footage? That's interesting because they only finished filming recently, but they could have shot something ages ago for the panel. Will Leslie Grace be there? They're not promoting Batgirl in this film officially. There's no posters for Batgirl. They're promoting League of Super Pets, Black Adam, Shazam Fury of the Gods, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, and the Flash movie. They're the movies that are really going to be really plugged here. And according to John Campion, according to 80s Rewind at Times 90s, Ezra Miller will be there. As I say, if the director, Andy Muschietti, isn't there, we can suspect that maybe he's being replaced because we haven't heard hide nor hair of him since they delayed the Flash movie 7 months from its original release date of November. So I've always been suspicious about his future. The big question is, will Andy Muschietti be at this panel? I have my doubts, and if he's not, there's a problem. If he's there, there's no issue, and this film is basically not going to get any reshoots, and it's going to happen. So a very intriguing panel. So I'm very happy and slightly envious for those of you who will be at Cinemacon and the Warner Brothers DC panel, because you get to see footage of Super Pets and Black Adam, Shazam Fury of the Gods, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, and the Flash movie. So that's quite exciting because I think the movies will at least be solid. What they can make, I don't know. So I am going to make, what's that? 80s Rewind at Times 90s. Sorry, played the first 15 minutes of the new Spider-Verse movie. People said it was amazing. Yes, I'm very excited for that movie as well. So, yes, that's going to be great, and can't wait to see it next year. And so let's look at box office. Let's predict box office for these movies they're promoting at this year's Cinemacon. So, Man of Steel made $650 million. This was a very, very little profit because that was an expensive film to make. Batman vs. Superman Dawn of Justice made just under $900 million, but the outlay for the film was around $500 million. They were looking for $2 billion at the global box office. It didn't happen. It underwhelmed at the box office, however you spin it. Suicide Squad, for the budget, did well. Wonder Woman did great. Justice League was a flop. Aquaman was a huge hit. Shazam did well as well. Birds of Prey was a flop. Wonder Woman 84 was released during the peak of the pandemic. Not a great movie, though. And the Suicide Squad was a flop at the global box office. However you spin it, these are the facts. So the DCEU is a very inconsistent franchise. Good movies mostly, but in terms of box office, very, very inconsistent. So what kind of box office, for example, are we looking for Black Adam? Black Adam is an expensive movie. There's no question about that. With marketing, which they considering they're not spending much on marketing, maybe they're trying to save on marketing because that's their next movie, apparently, apart from League of Super Pets. And there's really been very little marketing. I don't even know if we've had any posters yet. So that's ridiculous. Obviously, we're nearly in May. So that's June, July, August, September. 4 or 5 months to go. They really need to start promoting the movie. It's weird. This is not the MCU. These DCEU movies don't promote themselves. So how much box office will Black Adam make at the global box office? I think it has to make around 500 to 700 million at the very least. 80s Rewind at Times 90s. I think Black is be over 500 million. Rock is really pushing dream role, he says. Yes, it's a dream role for him. It sounds like an exciting project. Let's think about this for a minute. A 3-hour Batman movie made 700, just under 800 million. So that was really good. 3 hours long, dark in places, lots of dialogue rather than action, more dialogue than action. So it's very interesting, Black Adam, to me, is if this is a great movie and it gets good reactions from fans and great, early, screenings and things like that, I think this movie could at least, as I say, get 500 to 700 million. I think anything under 500 million is a flop and it's not good. I mean, listen, these days, if you don't make $1 billion, the propaganda merchants will tell everyone it's a flop. But at this moment in time, 500 to 700 million is my prediction. Now, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, as I earlier said, is being released at the same time as Avatar 2. Now, I don't know if Warner Brothers knows something that we do not about Avatar 2. Do they know it's a bad movie, which I doubt? Do they think it won't release on that date? Well, they're coming to Cinemacon, advertising that date. Unless they announce another date at Cinemacon, this movie is being released at the same time as Shazam. So nobody really expects Shazam, Fury of the Gods, to do very well against Avatar 2. I think Shazam will make around the same money it did the first time. And I think it made just around 400, just under 400 million. It was very cheap to make. This one's a bit more expensive to make. So that's an interesting facet of the situation as well. If this was to reach 500 million or above, it would be a big win, considering the movie it's up against. So Shazam Fury of the Gods has a fighting chance. They're going to have to start marketing that one as well. I think 500 million is a realistic prediction from me. Again, anything else would be sensational. But you see what's happening here. We're looking at the lower end of the global box office. This is not reaching the potential of these DC characters in these iconic universes. 80s Rewinder times 90s, 400 million, I agree. So that's Shazam, Fury of the Gods. Then we go to 2023 in March, where Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is being released. The first Aquaman shocked the world by reaching over $1 billion. One of the best BBMs I've ever seen, and deserved its global box office of well over $1 billion. So what is Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom? What is the Lost Kingdom? It's Atlantis. Atlantis will rise from the ocean. Once upon a time in the comics and in the canon, as we saw in the first movie, Atlantis was above water. Then it sunk. Now, I believe that Atlantis is the actual Lost Kingdom. It rises from the water and it's literally on the same level as the surface level that we live on. And so there'll be a situation maybe where, people from the surface level will be fighting the Atlanteans, and there'll be something very interesting about that. I think that's where we're going with this movie. So I believe the Lost Kingdom is actually Atlantis, and that's the kind of story we're going for. So interestingly, the story of this was co-penned by Jason Momoa. So we'll see if that's ill-conceived. Of course, Superman 4 was co-penned by Christopher Reeve, and we saw what happened there. But anyway, a lot of money has been spent on this movie. The VFX is going to be stunning. I can't wait for people to see footage from this movie later on today in America. My time, I will find out about all of this tomorrow morning. Of course, so what kind of money can Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom make? If they keep Amber Heard, and of course there's a great chance they will keep Amber Heard, but it's not going well for her at the moment, and Hollywood is turning against her. Jason Momoa has followed Johnny Depp on Instagram, and Johnny has actually followed him back on Instagram as well. So Jason Momoa and Johnny Depp are now following each other. This gives you a clue that maybe, just maybe, Heard is going to be scratched off this movie. This would actually help the global box office. 80s Rewinder times 90s. This one is tricky because of Amber Heard. Still think about 600, 750 million. It was amazing. I suspect that this movie is going to be so good, it's going to make exactly the same money as the first Aquaman. Yes, you heard it here first. I expect Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom to make around $1 billion at the global box office. Why do I think this? I think the VFX will be stunning. It will have great commentary. I think it's going to be great. Obviously, if Amber Heard isn't in it, it gives it a better chance to reach $1 billion. I would say that Amber Heard probably is going to be scratched out of this movie. I don't believe Ezra Miller will be fired, but I do believe it's easier to scrub Amber out of this movie because she's not the lead. She's not the lead of the new DC Extended Universe, as Ezra is going to be. So anyway, that's how I see that. Then finally, we got the movie I'm labeling as maybe the last ever DCEU movie. So, the last DCEU movie, potentially. How much money can the Flash movie make? Well, people are going to be very, very excited about this movie. It's going to have multiple cameos from other versions of DC characters from other Earths, other movies, and other TV shows. Cameos sell. I expect this movie to reach at least $1 billion. I expect this movie to make maybe over $1 billion as well. Not make No Way Home money, but have a very healthy return. I suspect that the Flash movie is actually a very good movie, and the only problems are its lead acting out on set and in Hawaii, enacting his very own Hawaii Five-0. But in terms of the film, The Flash, I expect it to be a very strong film. I expect people to enjoy it. Michael Keaton's Batman's involved. He's involved in Batgirl. That's going to excite a lot of people. So I do expect the Flash movie to make a lot of money. Now, we're going to find out a lot more information about these 5 movies. I'm not particularly interested in Super Pets. It's an animated movie. I'll see it. I'll look forward to it. It looks fun. It's these other 4 movies that intrigue me as a DC live action fan. And we're certainly going to find out a lot more about these films. The footage will excite people. I suspect that the footage will come officially online. Why do I think this? Because they really need to start hyping people up. They really need to start marketing all of these DC movies and show the world there is a connective universe here. Because we haven't seen a DCEU movie since James Gunn's The Suicide Squad last year. So we actually need to start getting that hype engine revved up. So I'm excited for these movies. I stand these characters, right? And that's it. Ezra Miller's going to be there. Ezra Miller isn't going anywhere at this time. And obviously Amber Heard can't be at Cinemacon, and she wouldn't be at Cinemacon. She's not the lead of the movie. I don't know if Jason Momoa is going to be there for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. I'm not sure about that at all. So this time tomorrow, we hopefully would have all, because that's fair, all the fans would have seen footage for these 4 DC live action movies, which I think is very, very exciting, and it's something that we can celebrate. No matter about my opinions about these films being delayed and how Snyder was treated and all of that, I'm always excited for upcoming DCEU movies. We're going to get our first live-action cinematic Dr. Fate. That's exciting. We're going to get our first cinematic Black Adam, Hawkman, maybe Shira, Hawkgirl. So very, very exciting. These are things that anyone who claims to be a DC fan should be excited about. Now, is there any chance of Zack Snyder's Is there any chance of the restoration of, what's it called? That's it. Is there any chance of Restore the Snyderverse being announced at Cinemacon? I would say none whatsoever. Even if this was a reality, Zack won't be able to do anything until next year because he's working very hard with 2 Rebel Moon movies back to back. 83 times 90 is 1.3 billion. What for the Flash movie? Maybe. Look, I said that James Gunn's The Suicide Squad would go over $1 billion, and it was a flop. So I'm all right with being wrong. I was wrong. John, the Mario movie has been delayed. Yes, it's been delayed till next year. John, I did see the date earlier. I forgot it now. So I don't see a situation where the Snyderverse will be restored at Cinemacon later today in America and tomorrow for us. I don't see that happening at this moment in time. Maybe that will happen in the future, but I do believe Henry Cavill will refuse involvement in any Justice League movies unless he gets his Man of Steel sequel. There's 3 of you on this chat. How would you feel today or tomorrow at Cinemacon if Man of Steel 2 was announced? Would that make you happy? Of course, it's unlikely, but there is a chance that we're going to get some surprise announcements. They're not just going to talk about these 5 upcoming DC movies. They're going to announce what they're going to be doing in 2023 as well. Of course, they're going to say Beetle is coming next year. They're going to officially confirm Batgirl is coming next year. They're going to tell you about, obviously, the other 2 movies that are coming as well, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom and The Flash. So there's a lot coming next year for DC as well. So it's exciting. So what's important for me now is for these 2 DC movies coming in October and December, Black Adam and Shazam Fury of the Gods, to actually hit well, for people to enjoy these. So we can finally turn the perception of this franchise around. 80s rewind at times, 90s. I'd do a backflip. I can't do a backflip, but I would probably do an ice bucket challenge live on my channel, or my Instagram, or TikTok, just to celebrate. But there is a chance. There is a chance of some surprising announcements tomorrow. Considering what Sony announced, Sony shocked Marvel fans by some of the stuff they announced. They surprised Ghostbusters fans, because I didn't think we'd get a Ghostbusters Afterlife sequel. I didn't particularly think it was that great of a movie, but clearly they made enough box office to do more. If it's up to me, we would have seen the end of Ghostbusters after Ghostbusters 2. I don't really think there's a consumer base for it, but hey, they've decided to do it. That's up to them. We'll see how it ends up. And I mean, they were able to do something interesting with the Ghostbusters franchise by introducing a younger cast as well, so they can move on from the originals. So that's important. So I don't know how much people actually liked these new, younger characters. We'll have to wait and see how a sequel does. But I do expect some surprising announcements from DC from tomorrow's Warner Brothers panel at Cinemacon. So that's very, very exciting. And I think, and look, I don't know the possibilities of it, but you never know. We could get a Man of Steel 2 announcement, because I think that's where the wind is changing. Brandon Routh last year said there's lots of plans for Superman. We know there's J.J. Abrams and Ta-Nehisi Coates, which I was a little bit wary of before, but their Superman now sounds very interesting. We've already heard that film leaves it open for Henry Cavill to return as his Superman too. That Superman doesn't scrub out Henry Cavill's Superman. That's important. John, you could do the Ice Bucket Challenge if the Snyderverse is restored. Oh, definitely. That will be a reason to do it. 80s rewind at times 90s. That Egon thing was calling Ghostbusters. It was. But that was at the end of the movie, the reveal. And, you know, you need more from a movie than just that. Ghost wasn't just good when we finally saw Patrick Swayze reunited, his character Sam reunited with Molly. The whole film was amazing. And that was the emotional satisfaction we got from it at the end. With Ghostbusters Afterlife, we got the emotional satisfaction with Egon, but we got a lot of drag during the rest of the movie. So, the chances of a Man of Steel 2 being announced, I would say 50-30, 30 going against. Listen, I'm not saying there's a big possibility, but I can smell a sea change. Zaslav is there. So it's clear they're not going to announce a DC Studios at this point, and they're the entirety of all their plans. But something big could be announced tomorrow. So we could actually get Man of Steel 2 announced. This would be huge, because this would, again, change the perception of the DCEU. And we have heard rumors there's going to be as much Superman in DC live action going forward as there is Batman. And they're both awesome characters, and they deserve that. They definitely deserve that. So 80s rewind at times 90s, Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle is going into production, and they started shooting, I think. So they'll say it's coming next year, obviously. Maybe they'll have the director there, but he's busy. So I doubt it. So they'll just mention it. But I think The other stuff that could be mentioned is stuff we don't know about. Don't worry too much about the stuff we already know about. We know that League of Super Pets and Black Adam and Shazam Fury of the Gods and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom and the Flash are coming. So we know about that. We know they're going to mention them. You know, Sony mentioned the stuff we already knew about, but they surprised people with a few things as well. And I expect Warner Brothers to do the same with DC, and it would really help them and Toby Emmerich and the perception of the DCEU to announce a Man of Steel 2. It would be the biggest announcement you could do. But it's exciting in itself, don't get me wrong, that we're getting all this footage. That's great. But if on top of that, they make 2 or 3 or 4 really exciting announcements like they did over at Sony. Now, I know some people didn't like some of the Marvel announcements from Sony, but I just think that's MCU fans who are intimidated by Sony having ownership of Spider-Man and other characters. And so there's a big chance for a lot of exciting things. In terms of the reputation of the DCEU and Warner Brothers Pictures, it is shit. But my perception of these 4 movies coming out this year and next year, I actually think they're very exciting, great movies. And it's just other elements like Amber Heard and Ezra Miller that are kind of putting a roadblock in their way. So at this, look, the Flash movie is going to be promoted at Cinemacon. So it's not being cancelled. I kind of felt that was a way to go with it, but they're not going to do that. They spend a lot of money. They're going to insist in this multiverse strategy. But here's the thing. We won't know if the multiverse strategy will go on until we find out what kind of box office the Flash makes. If people like the Flash and they like the new Justice League, then it's a go for the multiverse strategy. If the film flops, it's the end of the story. The DCEU is dead. We get Tanahashi Coates Superman, Matt Reeves Batman 2, and his multiple spin-offs. And we go from these different separate universes with these iconic characters. And maybe that actually would be better. 80s Rewind times 90s. Sony showed footage of Madame Web movie. Sony showed footage of, that's right, yes, of another very exciting Sony Marvel project. Very excited about that. And Spider-Woman is also in development from Sony. So that's exciting as well. So, yes, be ready, right? So you're either going to stay up to the early hours of the morning, right? Or you're going to wake up tomorrow morning and find out about this exciting DC live action footage and maybe some shock announcements as well. Of course, I'm going to be back tonight from about 6 p.m. UK time, maybe 8 p.m. UK time, whatever, however it turns out, with Movies TV Mad Live, where I will be building up to Cinemacon because everyone in America will be awake then. There'll be more people on the chat. We can really get excited about this footage because let me be clear, my frustrations were about the delays. My frustrations were about Ezra Miller embarrassing this beautiful character called Barry Allen and The Flash. My frustrations were those. My frustrations have been ever since Man of Steel. Really, really good films that didn't end up well for one reason or the other. We've been walking uphill ever since the DCEU started. So I'm going to celebrate these 4 movies being promoted at Cinemacon and cross my fingers for some big, shocking announcements too. John Sony will probably talk about the Kraven the Hunter movie. Bat Super, I would be so happy if we got both Man of Steel 2 and the Golden Age Superman movies set in its own corner of the multiverse. Bat Super, I think this could be the way we're going. If they did announce that tomorrow, that would be awesome. Maybe that's why we're getting these leaks. 80s Rewind times 90s. I'm excited for the DC stuff. Fingers crossed, Mick. I'll lose my mind if they announce delays. Yeah, listen, we can't have any more delays. There won't be any more delays on those 4 movies because if you look at the posters, they've got dates. You can't mess around at Cinemacon. The dates are there. There can be no more delays unless someone actually dies or something, God forbid. 80s Rewind times 90s. John, they showed footage of Kraven the Hunter. That's awesome. So Sony had a really good panel, even though some people like to be negative about Sony Marvel. 80s Rewind times 90s. He was chasing an animal in the wild. Wow. Wow, that is exciting, isn't it? I'm not really I'm not a big Marvel guy. I don't know about Marvel. I do look forward to those movies, of course. And I do prefer Sony Marvel, whatever people say, to the MCU. And that's my right as a person and as a fan. But yes, be prepared for some very exciting stuff. And we will build up to Cinemacon on Movies TV Mad Live tonight, where you get genuine fan reaction and passion. This has been the DCEU Daily with me, Mick, your host with the most, here live. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. So until we see each other again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen. 80s rewind the times, 90s, Mick, I could care less about Marvel. Give me DC, that's super. I agree on Sony Marvel. They remind me of Marvel movies from 90s and 2000s. Exactly. And this is why the MCU stands don't like them, because they're more about connective tissue and having to watch 20 or 30 movies before them to get it. This is something new. This is something different. Morbius was mid and middling without being as bad as they said it was. They're building up to something. But by the way, at the beginning of the MCU, Marvel fans hated that as well. I'll see you tonight on Movies TV Mad Live. Until then, goodbye. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you for the support as ever. I will see you again later.